Just before I call the member, this is a split call, is it? Thank you. Reno Turkartni.
Kia ora, Mr Speaker. I'm pleased to make a short contribution at this third reading of the Exclusive Economic Zone and Continental Shelf Environmental Effects Bill. And Mr Speaker, this is critically important legislation, and I do commend the Minister for the improvements that have been made to the bill through the committee stage and also the work that was carried out in the Select Committee. But alas, it hasn't progressed legislation to the point where we can support it. There are still too many loopholes, too many uncertain areas in the bill, and so alas, we will be opposing this bill. And I just wanted to pick up on some key areas where there are very clear deficiencies in the bill. And firstly, around the whole consultation, and I'm focusing on the Māori issues, that is, there was no consultation with iwi in the preparation of this bill. And there were many submissions from iwi and other interested Māori organisations opposing various aspects to the bill, such as the purpose clause, and throughout the various the processes and procedures that were flowing through the consent processes under the bill. Disappointingly, none of those submissions were actually picked up or incorporated into the bill, and I speak to points like the supplementary order paper from Ms Sage, which included cultural impact assessments, which was one thing that Ngāi Tahu pushed for in their submissions. Likewise, and most importantly, was the beefing up of Clause 14, the treaty clause. Now, we have very clear treaty obligation clauses between the Crown and iwi Māori in the Conservation Act and the Resource Management Act, but unfortunately, it is not, equivalent provisions are not contained in this bill, and that is very disappointing. And even more disappointing is that the obligations that do include iwi or Māori interests are just mere procedural matters, which are options that can be picked up by the EPA through their advisory committees, but they're not mandatory. Likewise, there's no inclusion of a right to consult with iwi or around any of the application processes. So that is disappointing, and that is a huge deficiency in this bill. And just the other day, I had a briefing from a mining company. To put this into context, there was a company that was wanting to mine phosphate on the Chatham Rise. Now, I'm not going to talk about the merits of the particular activities that they were doing, but this particular company had a prospecting licence. They were wanting to mine phosphate on the seabed floor of the Chatham Rise. And I think it's important that we look at these applications on a case-by-case basis, because the members on the other side talk about how there will be such great economic development from extracting minerals or oil and gas and the like. But when we actually spoke to this company around, okay, well, what would be the employment opportunities created from your mining activity, they said that there will be very few. And why is that? Because they would be bringing in these big super 200-metre type ships from the Netherlands with all their expertise to come down and blow the sea floor so they can suck out all the phosphate and take it up as raw material, just extracting raw material. There was no commitment to actually further value add or any other activities there. So we oppose this bill. Is that the end of my time? Oh, sorry, Mr. Speaker. So that was a classic example of the spin that there's going to be all jobs and created from this mining boom. But this company itself said that there would be no jobs created from their activities, as all the expertise would be brought offshore. So that actually needs to be taken into account by the EPA and for all applicants that are actually going to be mining our pristine coastal, pristine marine environment, the seafloor and the continental shelf. So there are big deficiencies in this bill. we are very disappointed that a number of all the SOPs that we put up, particularly strengthening the treaty clauses, were voted down, and so alas, we will be opposing this bill. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Eugenie Sage.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Tēnā koe. The Green Party supported the exclusive